only use a freemium business model when the following 3 of 4 things are true. I don't know if you've ever thought about starting a SaaS company that uses freemium, or you have a freemium product today, but I've been building companies now for over 17 years. I've studied freemium in a big way. I'm a formal advisor to Hootsuite, one of the largest freemium companies. I'm friends with Drew from Dropbox, so I've seen in the early days how they've built that company. I even integrated with MailChimp in my company Flowtown, so I've worked with Ben personally, the founder and CEO there, and watched them go through that transition from paid only to freemium. So I've studied this industry like crazy. And recently I was on a phone with an entrepreneur and she was walking me through her business model and her pricing plan. And when I looked at the market she was in, they were B2B SaaS, and the pricing of the model, it was $7 a month. It was free to use, and then $7 a month per company, unlimited users, unlimited seats. I was like, I don't want to be critical, but right off the bat, you'll never be able to scale this. And it took her by surprise. She's like, what do you mean? And I was like, freemium in your model is not going to work. She's like, why? And I said, well, you're violating too many of these rules. And then I walked her through these 4 different rules, and she realized that she had made that mistake. And it had been 3 years that she sat on this and not really seeing any growth whatsoever. And I think that conversation really sent her down a different path. And that's what I want to share with you today. So the first one is, you got to make sure that the potential number of users is in the tens of millions of users. Tens of millions, right? So if you're building something for like a very super niche SaaS market, like doctors that do a very specific type of operation, that's not tens of millions of users. And there's a reason why you need tens of millions, because of the way the economics work. So number one is make sure that the total numbers is in the tens of millions. Second one is that free distribution is a competitive advantage. I remember seeing MailChimp when they did this. That was their key thing. It's like, look, there's all these other email providers out there, but if we do a free product, especially with 2,000 emails on your list before you have to pay, that is incredible. But Ben wrote this amazing blog post, I'll link it up below, that walked through his thinking and the math and 10 plus years of data doing paid only to finally say, you know what, if we can increase our marketing, it was a marketing decision to go freemium. If we can increase the amount of people in our trials, we know that they're going to convert at this level, and overall it's going to net us ahead from not doing it. So it was a very deliberate business model decision. And really, it's free is a competitive advantage. If that's true, then that is a potential for a freemium business model. The third one is that your product has a very simple and straightforward value proposition. When people sign up, if it's complicated, if they need a customer success team, if they need somebody to talk to from a sales or account managers, you do not have a simple process. When I'm talking about simple, value, straightforward, it is like a Dropbox. Think about it. I have a folder on my computer, I drop folders or files there, and I can share it. That is straightforward and simple. And that, when you look at all the top, Evernote, very straightforward. I put stuff in here, I can search and I can retrieve it on all of my different devices, and they're synchronized. Very simple and straightforward. If that's not true, then I would challenge you that maybe freemium is not the right decision for your product. And then the fourth one is the marginal cost to serve additional users is negligible. It doesn't matter. Like it's like fractions of a penny, because the free is kind of taking the marketing spend. Instead of spending on marketing to get more users, you get free users in there using the product, getting to that moment of gratification and aha, and they love it and the core value, and then they tell other people about it. It's word of mouth marketing on steroids. And it's a decision. If it costs you $5 to support a new user, and most of them are free, it will never scale. And I see this happen so many times. So those are the 4. And really quick recap is the number of potential users in the tens of millions, okay, tens of millions. 2, that free distribution is a competitive advantage based on the competitive set in your market. 3 is that the product has a very simple, straightforward value proposition. And 4, that the marginal cost to serve an additional user is negligible. It's like pennies. It's fractions of a penny. Just think about this. If you wanted to get 1 to 4% of your users to paid, to reach $100 million in revenue, okay? So if you want to get 1 to 4% of your users to paid, $100 million in revenue, charging $100 a year, you would need to get, with a 4% conversion to paid, you would need 25 million users using your product. Just think about that. Do you have the financial means to scale, to defer, to build up, to understand, to build the capacity to scale that product in a way that you get to 25 million users because only 4% are going to be paying $100 a year? I mean, it's, there's companies like Slack and so many other incredible freemium companies that you can look to, but they're the exception, not the norm. And I think that freemium has caused more harm than good for a lot of SaaS companies. And I would argue if at least not 3 of the 4 of these kind of filters or rules fit, that you might want to consider going to a kind of a free trial to paid or paid only business model. So as per usual, I want to invite you to subscribe to my newsletter. Just click right up there to get exclusive content and invites to private events. And I want to challenge you to live a bigger life and a bigger business, and I'll see you next Monday.